Got a couple, like several beaches. So yeah,
Very cool.
and we
All right.
actually have a couple lakes here. Anyway,
Very good.
yeah.
And you
Anyway,
got all the
let's go
relaxing
live.
stuff. Like, let's go live, broadcasting from apparently Crystal Lake, but really the Oval Office here in Washington D.C.
The
Off to you, Bert.
Oval Office here in Washington D.C. Yeah. So you may notice a few things have changed this week. Um, for our DZPD weekly builds video number 7. Um, specifically, TU5 has dropped. Negan's drinking a beer, and I'm getting sassy.
Getting sassy, getting up in it.
Sassy. Combines well with the glitter. Glitter, sassy.
There you
Anyway,
go. Good job.
um, I am gamertag Burt Reynolds, and joined tonight yet again by the one and only golden voice of gaming, Negan Killjoy.
Hey,
Why don't you drink?
everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Haven't and
There we go.
go ahead.
Yep. Why don't you drink your beer? I like your beer remote. I don't have it yet. I got my
You should
baton
take.
back. That's new this week. Baton is
Oh, there
back
you go.
in my band dance.
And if I am
Apparently also
drinking beer, I should
clips
probably flips.
clips right to the chair there. Yep, there we go.
Nice.
Anyway,
Fun with emotes with Burt and Negan. Okay, here we go.
yeah, there we go, right? Fun with emotes. So tonight we're going to talk about TU5, and we're going to talk about a build that I put together since TU5 dropped. So it's not at all optimized really yet. Parts of it are because they come from another build, but it is certainly not done. But it's a skill build of sorts, and so we're going to talk about that because that's one of the biggest changes. Negan and I have been checking out TU5 the last several nights in a row. We have run the Expedition, we've run the Zoo Mission, and we've run Camp White Oak. Enjoyed all of them, I would say, right, Negan? Special
Absolutely.
shout
That
out
was
to
a
the
good time.
zoo. Yeah, I like the Zoo Mission a lot. Really pretty mission, really cool. Lot going on. Tough boss, even on regular mode. It feels almost like challenging. Um, and the
Yeah, no,
Expedition,
I
very
have to
cool.
say, on all the new content, they did a really good job with the environments. The zoo was really good. The White Oak is really good as far as environment goes. Just the different look and feel that you're running through and shooting bad guys.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. It reminded me of some other really good Ubisoft titles. There was almost a Ghost Recon feel in White Oak um,
Mm-hmm.
that I thought was really cool. I liked it. I liked a little bit of the getting out of the urban environment. Felt different. The zoo has some really incredible stuff going on in the environments in it, and very cool stuff. The expedition is really neat. If you like puzzles, it's a little bit more of like a puzzle centric thing. Had a little bit of mechanics to it. Um, I thought it was neat. It is
Yeah, and
advertised as a bit of a loot cave. I don't know that we got any loot out of it that was anything particularly worthwhile, but it's cool.
we
Very
expect that
cool.
to some extent. But also with regards to Ken the Ecology Expedition, it was also the bad guys don't necessarily come from a single direction, so the fighting was unique as well. So that was kind of nice too. They came from different directions, even if you're in the same battle with them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
little extra
Yeah, and you get
challenge.
swarmed and overrun. It was cool. Yeah, very cool. So, those are a couple of the new pieces of content. One of the other things Negan and I were talking about earlier, Cassie Mendoza, which is the Xur of the Division. Xur is a character from Destiny that comes once a week. Cassie comes all week if you can find her. You find her by doing a snitch bounty. I managed to find her, and she had nothing good. But I will say this: she now all the stuff she has for sale is 500 level gear. Previously, it was not. It was extremely low level in some cases. She has a named weapon every week. This week she has 3 shotguns. I'm not a shotgun guy, so there's that. She had 3 shotguns and a chest piece with destructive on it. Nothing that I was particularly looking for. Allegedly, she also sells exotics, but I think it has to be an exotic that you have. I don't know what she's selling this week because clearly I don't have it, whatever it is. Which, I don't have a Sweet Dreams or there's a couple other exotics I don't have. So that's totally possible that she's selling an exotic I don't have. And yeah, so that was one of the other changes. But the big change is skill builds. They made a total revamp to skills. We talked a little bit about last week. They changed cooldown reduction to skill haste. I was pretty worried that it was going to mess with some of the non-skill builds. It doesn't seem to have impacted it too poorly. The Revive Hive cooldown actually got a little shorter, which is kind of nice. The cooldown on the Chem Launcher heals got a little longer, but because you have 3 cans in the tank, and you can't overlap heals anyway, I don't think it killed it or anything, and so I don't think it's a big loss. How have you been feeling about Skillz, Negan? I'm interested to get your take.
I've only been playing, but I have noticed the Revive Hive does come back a little bit faster. And like you said, the healing canisters, I use those more than anything else just because of the builds I have. So they seem to have not terribly impacted them. I don't have any skill builds, which is why I'm listening to this one particularly. So yeah, for me, from a damage and just a normal builds viewpoint, seems pretty good. They didn't hurt anything. They didn't break anything, so that's a plus.
They didn't break anything.
Put out a big title update like this.
Yeah, I've not found anything that feels particularly broken yet. Again, the other thing they did add, and we have not tapped into this yet, is they did add a kitty mode for the raid. We haven't played it yet. You still, have to have 8 people. Well, I guess you don't have to. I think some people have done it with less. Ideally, you'd have 8 people. You can match make it. We just haven't done it yet. We haven't done the raid at all last weekend. So we haven't played the kitty mode of the raid yet. But one other thing they did do, which is cool, is, and I just figured this out today. So if you have any blueprints that you're missing, the daily project now has the entire blueprint pool in it. So you do the daily Shade Tech project, which is the one where you're donating materials. You can turn those in every day till you... Uh-oh.
Yep, I just got disconnected. Just got kicked out of the game.
Not good, Negan. Not great.
I know.
Negan's gonna have to come back. Anyway, you can now turn in that project every day, and you will eventually get all the blueprints. So if you have blueprints you're missing, like I have a few that I guess I didn't have. I didn't know that. I thought I had pretty much all of them, but apparently there's still some I didn't have somewhere. So I've been picking those up. It's great because crafting is actually relevant. My one comment on that, I have crafted several guns and a couple pieces of gear. You can craft up to 500 level gear, 500 level guns. They don't always drop at that. I'll show you some guns I crafted. I just crafted this, which is a 500. I guess maybe they all are 500 that you craft. Yeah, so you can look at the damage range right off the get-go, see how good of a roll you're getting on it. You can craft guns, you can craft armor, you can use them in recalibration, you can recalibrate them. Those are all big positives. In fact, it's great stuff that you can do that. So, yeah.
And the blueprints are shared across characters now too, right?
The blueprints are shared across. If you have to buy something to make them shared across characters. Right.
Like 12 credits or something.
But it costs next month. It's almost free. So that's cool. All that's really pretty neat. But tonight we're going to talk about the skill build thing. Then we'll show you how it plays real quick. And I'm going to let Negan ask questions as he normally would. So basically what I did in this particular build that I threw together, and I mean this is very thrown together and has a lot of room for improvement. But I took that compensated build that we featured 3 weeks back maybe. if you remember, compensated is you have 3 red stats. You're only allowed 3 red stats, and you can run compensate on your gloves, which will give you 15% additional raw weapon damage. You won't see it in your stat sheet, so it's kind of deceiving if you go into the stat page. You're not going to see it there because it's conditional. Conditionals don't show up in our stat sheet. So you look at my all weapon damage bonus and it says 18.5, but you have to add 15 to that because I meet the conditions. So 33.5% all weapon damage bonus. Great. And I took the compensated build and switched around. You may remember last time around I was running spotter with a pulse, right? So group DPS had some spotter going on. Because they upped the damage output on almost every skill, its base damage has gone up. That makes something like Pokeballs, Buster Mines, an actually viable damage dealer now. When previously, unless you were totally 100% sold out into it and had the absolute perfect set of mods for it, you were not going to do any real meaningful damage. So now they've made it so it actually does some actual damage. And so I took the spotter mask out and I replaced it with a China Light mask that has destructive on it. So you can look at this piece and roll the damage to elites on this. You know, again, want to have as much DTE as you can get into this. But I'm getting 10% explosive damage from the brand set, and I'm getting another 30% from destructive. I traded out that group DPS buff from the pulse. And I'm not running a pulse anymore, I'm running Pokeballs. And then I got this Mirakami backpack, which has on the ropes. Again, on the ropes is going to give me 25% damage when all skills are on cooldown. And I put destructive on that. And so I have, you know, armor, skill power, health, some explosive damage, and some weapon damage, and then this has an electronics slot. And again, you can see here I'm stacking Seeker skill power, right? So I've got 120 skill power and then 328 Seeker skill power. I want to have my Seeker skill power up as high as possible. Yep.
Regarding your on the ropes, so even though you have that and it does take advantage when it's on cooldown, you're not really having your stuff on cooldown for very long based on this build because you're a skill build, so you're really not running. You're just having it's super conditional. It's there for kind of short bursts of extra damage.
Well, I am on cooldown almost all the time, actually, because if I'm playing smart, I'm going to be constantly kicking those Pokeballs out, right? Like I want to throw them every time they're up. And then I just drop heals on myself even if I don't need them. Because basically I always have some, you know, because I've got a bunch of skill haste in places. I'm going to drop heals on myself a lot. But, yeah, I mean, it is kind of conditional. You definitely will feel it when it's not there. You know, it matters. You'll feel it when it's not there. So you do kind of want it there. But you could theoretically put something else there. I like that is, I mean, 25% flat damage is a huge buff. So
Absolutely.
even if it's only
damage
for
always a
good
good buff.
time, I'll take it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm using the same chest piece I was the last time you saw this build, and I've got Unstoppable Force, again, weapon damage. I rolled the weapon damage here, and I've got another Seeker skill power plus skill power. Who cares about the hive skill power? I have it on there because I'm not even running a hive. But it's the combination of Seeker and high skill power is why I have that mod slotted. I'm running a D&H, and this is one of the spots where I could definitely get an upgrade. I have a D&H holster here. I had to roll Devastating on this. I rolled Devastating on this months ago. I could trade it out for some more explosive damage. I actually kind of like it with the Devastating, but it would be better to have one that came with a natural Devastating or destructive roll on it and be able to roll a lot of skill power. Because I could have close to 800 skill power on this if I had the ability to roll the skill power instead. So found this old one, threw it on just because I had it in my stash. I can also run. I could run a Fenris here with either destructive or devastating. But I'm running the D&H here for a reason that you'll see in a second. Again, it's giving me more weapon damage. I've got the compensated gloves. Again, not an option. Got to have compensated, in my opinion, on this build. I have a couple pairs of compensated gloves. In this particular case, I need the blue, yellow, and red on it, so I have to run this pair. And I like the single stat here of 5% additional armor. I want that armor. Health, assault rifle damage, and then I've got an electronic slot with, again, Seeker skill power. Really just worried about pushing those Seekers up as high as possible so I can unlock the most powerful mods that I can get. And finally, I decided, I switched this up. I had this configured. I had, for a while, I had these Heligard knees in instead, and I had the Fenris over in the holster slot. But the Patience plus damage to elites here is so valuable because I want to be able to sit and cover and passively heal. You can see I'm a little squishy, 271,000 armor. I need to get to 275, so at least I get a round number on my unstoppable force. But I'm kind of light on health, 72. I'd prefer to be, 130. I'm at 72, so I'm a little squishy. So the point being is I am going to mostly sit in cover, shoot from cover, and drop Pokeballs from cover. So since I'm going to be in cover, I really want patience. But you'll notice because I've got damage rolled or destructive rolled on a bunch of places that I would normally have hard hitting, I'm going to be light on DT. And I'm sitting right at about 66% damage to elites. And that's on the light side for harder content. That DT does apply to the explosions, so if you're hitting golds with the Pokeballs, it does help you there. But I want to have both patience and DT. So when you look at what I'm running for skills, I am running cluster mines, and I'm running 124.3% skill haste, which is giving me a 17-second cooldown, and I've got a 72 or 77% damage mod in and a 54. I could really get some better mods for this. I have better mods, but they require a lot more skill power. So again, if I could find another holster that had the ability to roll the skill power on it, that would make a big difference. I could probably get a 90% damage mod in. That's going to make these go up. But if you look at it, I'm kicking out a 387.8 Pokeball per mine damage every 17 seconds. And yeah, I mean that's a lot. 4 mines, it's quite a bit of damage per mine. It's enough that when you're running solo, you'll kill every enemy except for a heavy. So if you run up against a group of 4 guys standing out there and one of them's gold, one of them's purple, and 2 of them are red, they're all dead instantly. It's very powerful in solo play. In group play, Negan and I played together last several nights. I'll let you talk about it, Negan. What was your opinion?
I believe the phrase I used when asked about it before was "it's almost unfair." It does really good work.
Negan called it unfair last night. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it was a little unfair as far as anybody who's running with him. The kill numbers just went up too high. I'm kidding, too high. But no, it does do a good job. We did talk about it a little bit as far as does really good crowd control as well. Not just killing guys, but it does pop them out of cover, and it does make it for your team, gives them more targets, which is always a good thing as well. So your team benefits from both the guys going down quickly and popping them out of cover as they run from the mines.
Yeah, and we ran some challenging missions last night, and even in challenging missions, it has enough power to kill a lot of the enemies, if not severely weaken the harder enemies, right? So, and they never get to stop. If you're constantly dropping these things, 17 seconds is pretty quick. And so they are on the run all the time. You never let them get comfortable. And yeah, I found it to be pretty effective. And again, I still have a ton of room to optimize. I legitimately think that, a week from now, if I get the right pieces or get the right mods, I could literally probably be churning this thing on like almost a 10-second cooldown with 450,000 damage on those Pokeballs, I would bet, and still maintaining my damage. You can see my heal.
The other
I've,
thing
I've,
we commented on as
go
far
ahead.
as the Seeker Mines that we had noticed was we joked around that it was a pulse with a kick. Because not only would it
Yeah,
scare them out of cover, not only would it kill people, but it marked them up for you, again, benefiting the team, pointing out guys that may have been in some sort of cover, giving us more targets to shoot at as well. So it was pulse with a kick.
yeah,
It was
you can
unfair
see everything.
and yeah, and good crowd control.
Yeah, you can see everybody, which is a huge added benefit, right? And then the best part is right here. Um, you can see I can heal myself for almost 100,000 armor. And I can do that every 20 seconds. Well, more than that because I have 3 ammo in the can. So, I mean, I am really able to drop heals. And because when Negan and I are playing together, he knows that. If he knows if he needs a heal, and I'm dropping him constantly, right, to keep on the ropes up, um, he just comes back and sits in cover with me for a second, and he can pick up, almost 100,000 armor heal. And that's again extremely powerful advantage for your group if you're looking for something that's kind of fun in group play. But I will say that in the last couple of days, I have grown to love this as like my favorite solo build. Especially when going out to farm caches. Like this is just a fun build to farm caches with because you have tons of options for how to handle any group of enemies you run up on, right? Like I can run up on a group of enemies and just drop my Pokeballs at their feet and run off, and they're dead a couple seconds later, and it's pretty fun. So I'm liking the skill build changes. I really legitimately are. I haven't gotten to dig into them much. I started to put together a healer build, which we will definitely feature at some point with a revive hive and some big massive heals. But I think there's some good stuff going on. I think it's gonna be fun, and it gives us a whole bunch of new stuff to talk about. So I want to show you. We got just a couple minutes left. I want to show you how this plays. So Negan and I go to our favorite little testing grounds just to the south of here. See if we can scare up a named enemy. And I'll show you how you play the build. It's again, a lot of it's just hiding in cover and throwing skills out. The other, and again, as Negan pointed out, from a marking standpoint, it's cool to be able to run into a room and throw these Pokeballs out first, so that you can really see where every enemy is. And that's exactly how we're gonna approach this up here. I'm gonna pop in, myself in cover. Negan will get himself in cover wherever he wants to go. Unless he's gonna make me fight it myself, which is fine.
Well, you are
And
showing off here. So going back to what you just said about this becoming your favorite or one of your favorite solo builds now. Last week you talked about a Bloodsucker, which was your favorite for a while. Do you find, is it a different style of play, or do you find one more enjoyable than the other, or are they enjoyable for different reasons?
so I don't think I would take this into heroic content. So I still say my Bloodsucker would be my go-to for heroic content. And I don't think I would ever take this in the raid. And my Unbreakable or my Unstoppable Force build, which we haven't featured yet. But my Unstoppable Force build or the Unbreakable build that we featured is what I would still take raiding. I don't know that I would take this into that. But in terms of just like
Okay.
casual play, like fun like you and I are gonna get on, we're gonna hang out. We're just gonna play some challenging missions, or I'm gonna go farm some orange caches. This is a fun build to do that with, right? Um, and it's not to say this does not kick out enough damage. I don't think it's a damage thing. Negan saw it last night. We went to the range with this build last night. It was putting up 1.38 million on the near card with weapon damage. So this is very much a hybrid build. This is not a pure skill build. I mean, I am still churning out a lot of damage, which is more than enough for the raid. But I don't know that I have the sustain to last in the raid, and I can't run a revive hive, right? And so if I go down, I'm a liability, and so I would not want that to happen. So that's really my reason for that. In heroic content, it's sort of the same. I just don't know if it has a sustain. And in all the heroic content in this game, damage is important, but sustain and ability to stay alive is more important. So with that, I'll show you what these Pokeballs do. See, they'll mark everybody up. You'll see I'm going to drop a heal right now. Put my on the ropes up. Now on that guy, he's the one, there's 5 guys there. Four of my Pokeballs, wow, because I only have 4 mines. Killed the other 4 guys. Hurt this guy. And now I've got more of them. Because they're already back up. That guy is going to get it. Is basically what that looks like. So you can see I get them quite frequently.
In case anybody's curious, I didn't shoot once that whole round. That was all Seeker Mines and a couple of shots from you. I just stood here and watched.
Right. That's nice of you, Negan. Well, but that's that is good. That's good to know because we're obviously we're scaled for 2 people, because there's 2 of us, and yeah. So again, from a damage perspective, this build for challenging content, I would do a tier 4 CP with this, and I would probably do a heroic bounty with it. Just not a heroic mission, and not the raid. So any other content, I would take this build into gladly and really enjoy it. And again, I mean, from an overall damage perspective, if you really think about it, I mean, not really losing anything other than a little bit of DTE over the compensated build I showed you a couple weeks ago. But I am churning a lot more skill damage out. And from a group perspective, it's hard to argue with having such good CC and damage. I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool spot we've landed in with these changes to the skill power. I do think there may be a nerf incoming at some point, just because something like this is I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's too much fun, and so I get this. I have a there's my very skeptic side right there. But anytime Massive gives us anything that's too fun, pretty soon they come knocking to take it back. So we'll see, but it's in a good spot.
We have at least a couple weeks before they really take it away, though. So there you go.
Right. Enjoy it while you got it. So to review the build, real quick, because Negan always reminds me I should review my builds. Guns, I'm going to run Optimist. You'll notice the guns I have on all do have skill-based holster talents. So I've got in rhythm that sometimes gives me my Pokeballs back right away. I have recharged 25% duration charges and ammo for skills when you're at full health. And I have rooted, which all skill damage and healing is increased by 25% for 10 seconds. Buff is lost when exiting cover. So when you first get into cover, those first couple sets of Pokeballs are really nasty. China Light for the explosive damage with destructive for additional explosive damage. I rolled the DTE. Backpack, doesn't matter the brand set. Hazard protection, whatever, cool. It's just backpack's the right backpack. All blues and golds. In this particular case, I had to roll destructive on it. I guess that would be another opportunity for an upgrade right there, right? I could get better rolls on this. I got one that had destructive and on the ropes. I did not. I don't have a backpack that's all blues and golds, destructive and on the ropes, so I had to roll that. Chest piece has unstoppable force, just additional weapon damage output, gloves. Need all 3 slots, blue, red, and a gold. Compensated because I'm only running 3 reds. Gives me tons of extra weapon damage. The D&H holster is great because D&H rolls with a yellow and a yellow mod slot. And it has a talent. Some of the yellows don't have a talent. Fenris has yellow, and a talent, so you could run that for sure as well. I went for the D&H just because I didn't really care for the 10% elites. I'd rather get the accuracy. And I'd rather be able to eventually roll much higher skill power on this. Fenner's Knees. Here's my other blue stat. It's all 12% armor. Hard hitting impatience. Keeping some amount of DT in there so that I have some ability to kill the gold bars. And again, that DT does stack into your explosive damage from the Pokeballs when you're fighting yellow enemies. So that's the build as I have it right now. Again, not totally optimized, but highly recommend it. It is a fun skill damage hybrid build. I don't think we've even begun to scratch the surface on this Negan, if I'm honest. I mean, I threw this together in 3 days, 2 days.
Yep, pretty
We
fast.
haven't even begun to scratch the surface on this. Yeah. So I think there's a lot more to come. Hoping to cover some other skill builds in weeks to come as well. I haven't even tested out many of the other skills. So yeah, cool spot to be in.
Absolutely. Making me want a skill build now. Go back to that. We want to try healer build. Go back to the old reclaimer days from Div 1.
Yeah, Negan was our best reclaimer in the Division 1. Nobody could play reclaimer like Negan. And miss having those roles. We've talked about that a little bit. I do miss having those roles like that. So maybe this is like, step one towards having more roles, and we'll see better things as we go. What kind of gun are you running, Negan? Is that a rifle?
No,
What
this is
that
Mark
thing?
16. Mark 16.
Oh, nice. The SOCOM. Is SOCOM
Yeah.
Mark 16? Okay, yeah. Love that gun. Excellent gun.
It is a nice gun.
Smart man.
It's my go-to gun.
Yeah.
How the P416 is yours, the Mark 16 is mine. I just like it. I like the
Well,
sound.
I was gonna say, like, the P416 is not my go-to gun. Really, my go-to gun is usually this. It would usually be this Mark 6. I know this with the Allegro and overlap. The P416 is my go-to gun on this build in particular because it has rhythm, and I want that in rhythm. So I sometimes
Nice.
get my sometimes the cool thing about in rhythm is every once in a while the kills my Pokeballs get reset the kill or reset the cooldown, which is kind of a fun feeling, right? Like you throw out a set of Pokeballs, they kill some stuff, and it resets the Pokeballs. That's kind of cool. So that was the reason for the P416 in this particular build. But I do love my Mark 16s, and I think you're making a wise choice. Anyway, with that, we still don't have a clever way to say goodbye, so we're just going to say have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you next week when we maybe cover another skill build or something else. And yeah, come check out our Discord. We belong to the DZPD. A great Discord. You can just put the link up. A lot of good guys. We've got raid groups running every week right now.
Damn near
Got
every
a bunch
day.
of people exploring the
There's
new
a couple
content.
groups.
Yeah.
A couple groups running almost
Yeah.
every day now.
Yeah, there are raid groups running almost every day right now. And so if you're looking to do the raid, there's a lot of people there willing to help. Always giving good advice. A lot of good people, and we're all running through the new content and exploring it together. So if you're looking for a group to game with, come join us. We'd love to have you. And with that,
See ya.
auto wrap. Yep, there we go. There's what I was looking for.
All right, talk to y'all later.
All right, offline.
Go. I just got a message from Ghost about 10 minutes ago.
What about?
Stop.